morning, ladies and gentlemen, techie geeks, everybody out there. She introduced me as Alicia Carr, and my talk is about how I got to this point in my life. I did not expect this to happen, but this is something that every person needs to hear, how social development changed my life. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm a fine black woman. I do have a podcast for a blog called Coffee with Tech. I talk to women about being in technology and not realizing that they're in technology when they work in the tech community. I also want to acknowledge Women Code Atlanta. As you can see, these are all my sisters with a Y. And this is at a hackathon we did for all women. We had 100 women total that came out that had no experience. 80% of the women did not have no experience in hackathon. So we exposed women to them at this event. So what's my elevator pitch? My elevator pitch is I'm the first African-American self-taught iOS developer that created the first domestic violence app for the state of Georgia at the age of 51. And so it's crazy how I have always been in technology, but the crazy thing is that I've always been an Apple fanatic. I was standing online in my second generation iPad. I met this 16-year-old boy, and I was like, you know, I'm old school. No parent in their right mind would give a boy $800 for an iPad. That's a car note payment. That's your mortgage. So I asked him. I said, "So how do you get this money? Wash some cars, mow some lawns?" And he's like, "No, I build an app." I'm like, "Oh, so you must have went to Harvard? 16 years old, you must be, Harvard, Yale." He's like, "No, I learned it off of YouTube." And I turned to my husband. I was like, "Shit, that's what I want to do." So it passed by, time passed by, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm getting tired of my job. I was working in an environmental company. I was doing the tech work as well as creating support for the Georgia EDB. And so my husband came to me and said, why don't you look at finding solutions through iOS? And I was like, sure, okay, whatever. So, see, y'all still can hear me, right? So I went ahead and started doing my research, looked at some schools. Big Nerve Ranch was located in Atlanta, but they wouldn't take me in because you had to pay for the whole thing, including the hotel. And I was like, well, I'm going to give you money for a hotel, and I'll live down the street from y'all. That's not going to happen. So I reached out to a meetup group in Atlanta called Atlanta iOS Developers Group, found a mentor. He helped me with the Big Nerve Ranch book, which I wasn't too good at. I hate reading. And every time I read, I was skipping over something, creating this app for learning iOS, learning Objective-C, because this is the first time I'm learning Objective-C. Objective-C took me 1.5 years to learn because I didn't feel confident enough to believe that I knew what I was doing. As a woman, we have to build that confidence. Men are more than well confident in us. So my problem was, did I have the ability to learn Objective-C? So it was September 2013, somebody posted a boot camp on the actual meetup for Atlanta iOS developer for $125 for a boot camp. It was a 3-month boot camp, which you all know right now, if I pay $125 for a boot camp, that shit is overpriced right now. And it actually, that 3 months learning Objective-C, I learned it, understood it, had no problem with it. And at the end of that time, I reached up to my mentor. I was like, well, shoot, I finish up this, the tutorial. I don't know what to do. He said, well, why don't we, work together and build a domestic violence app? And I started crying because my family, my friends, I've lost a girlfriend from domestic violence. She got shot in her driveway. My mother was a victim. My aunt was a victim. My daughters were victims of domestic violence. My best friends were victims of domestic violence. And I knew them that when he mentioned it, that was something I needed to do. Me and him had a conflict on how we wanted it built, so I went rogue. I did that shit on my own. And what I did is I did a lot of research to figure out what should be in there. So when I did that, the first version of the app was called Purple Pocketbook. And my son helped me build it for Android. Now, me and him had bump heads with it, but he did do it for me, and he succeeded in completing it. So that version is actually still on Google Play. I had to rechange the name because there was a conflict of interest with Purple Purse, which is Allstate. So they reached out to me and told me I had to. They said there was a conflict and I needed to change the name. So I had to change the name across the board. But the only place it hasn't changed is Google Play. Yeah, she's laughing because she knows. So in 2014, I built the app in 3 months. Tried to submit it to Apple. All hell broke loose with that. Apple done told me, rejected me too many damn times. So, and it was because the size of the app, the screen size, were wrong. So when I was in there, I was building it the long way, the bigger way, the screen size, when the phone was still smaller. So I had to go in and change all the screen size to what the app was actually, the phone size was. And that took a couple of hours. I fixed it, submitted it. It was approved in Apple at May 2nd. I could never forget that day. Never forget a day when it took you months to submit it. So later on, 2015, we had to change the name to Pivo. So the original app is now called Purple Evolution Pivo. Of course, then Women of Code came along. Around the time I was building the app, I was having problems. One of the members of Women of Code, who was not a developer, helped me fix the problem. So we went to Starbucks, and we went through the Apple forum, and we found out what the problem was. And that's how I came a part of Women of Code. Because I realized that when I reached out to the men, it was more so I felt uncomfortable. I felt that it was an emotional thing because some of the men were being very controlling and, I didn't feel comfortable talking to them because I didn't want to be, I'm building this app, I didn't want I was already in an emotional strain because it was a domestic violence app, and I needed somebody to actually say, sit down, let's go do it, we found the issue, let's fix the issue. And that's how I became a member of the Women Code. I created a group in Women Code called Women iOS Developers Group to help women to learn how to code, learn Objective-C. From there, them helping me with the app, making it more successful, was everything. And so being a part of Women of Code was, once it was fixed, I was so happy. I was just so happy. So once I got there and started building did my group, one of the directors said, hey, Alicia, hey, we got tickets to go to WWDC 15. It's a scholarship. Do you want to apply? I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna apply, yeah. Who don't want to apply for a free scholarship? I was paying for everything from what I heard. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so at first we were going back and forth. They asked me, do I have an app? Yes, I do, blah, blah, blah. And then I got this, the actual invite said, I'm going to WWDC 15 for free. Oh, hell broke loose in my house. I don't have my children was all gone, but me and my husband was like dancing around, like, damn it, we're going to WWDC. We're going to WWDC. I was like, actually, I was going to WWDC. But no matter what, my husband still went with me. And so he got his ticket. They gave us a hotel. We stayed in a hotel. He didn't have a ticket to the event, but he did get to go. They allow him to sneak into other things like the sponsors, the scholarship event and stuff like that. So while he was at the scholarship event, before that, what I did was, I had a mentor, he was amazing. I told him, I said, I'm going to Apple, and guess what? I'm going to be the woman there with the nice skirts, and I'm going to be dressed up. I'm going to have high heel shoes, and I'm going to be cute. He's like, Alicia, they don't give a damn about your high heel shoes and dresses. He said, go to sell your product. Talk about your app. Hell, get a T-shirt, put on a T-shirt, ask me about the Pro Pocketbook. And I say, okay, he said, if nobody asks you about it, I'll buy the T-shirt. I said, okay, I got you. But what I did was I did a little something else. On the back of the T-shirt, I said, thank you, WWDC, which is Women of Code, for giving me a scholarship to WWDC 15. And I was so, I was so happy. I was just so happy. I sent it to everybody. Apple, Women of Code, my girlfriends. I sent it to everybody. And this is what it looked like. When I got there, Apple was looking for me. And they said, we want to highlight you at a keynote. I said, okay. So when they say highlight me at the keynote, I was like, well, we want you to, you know how we take pictures and it goes through the screen right before the event? I said, yeah. He's like, well, we want to put you in there. I said, okay. He said, but you have to be out there about 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, okay. I said, we got out there about 5:45. I was exhausted. And so what happened is this. Apple had me on the keynote, and that's exactly what they did. I was the first black woman to be highlighted at the keynote on 2015, and actually the first one they put their name on. They put my full name on, but they put my name out there, which was amazing. So I was already excited about that, you know. And so life went on, and so they contacted me again next year. This time they wanted to find people that actually build the app for a social cause. So you know how Apple went through, you know Apple have all the data. They went through everybody in their app store. They narrowed it down to a couple of hundred. Then they interviewed them. It went down to less than 100. Then they contacted me. The documentary company contacted me via email. I thought this was some crazy-ass woman stalking me. So I was like, I'm not going to email you back. I'm going to call you just to verify that the number works. Called her up. Her name is Alicia. She tells me, we want to interview you. We want to talk about you. So we did an interview over the phone. Then we did an interview on Skype. Then I had to send her pictures. And I wasn't rushing this because I was like, I really didn't give a damn. I didn't think it was real. So I basically like, she calls me up and says, I need the pictures now. I need the pictures now. I'm flying out to see you. I'm like, why the hell are you going to do that? So I sent a picture of my family, my kids, and everybody. She came in. She interviewed people around me. She was waiting for a reply from the director, and it was like, apparently, you know, it doesn't look like they're interested. And I was like, yes, thank you, Jesus. So I was happy. I was doing my other things, setting up, working other things with Women of Code, and I also had got a scholarship to go to Google I/O. And so while I was there, at the keynote, which was less than 15 minutes to start, I get a call from the documentary people. We're coming to Atlanta. Memorial Day weekend. Well, babe, you can't do that on Memorial Day weekend. That can't happen. She's like, well, what's the problem? Kids get out of school. Everybody's gone. They wanted all my friends, and I'm like, babe, you can't do that. She said, well, in California, we stay at home. No, this is Georgia. Everybody get rid of their kids for... And so all my friends couldn't be there, but all my children was able to be there. So with that, I had to have the app also more current to Apple standards for them to even put me in the video. So I was communicating with somebody at Apple to actually help me fix the app to make it current. I was crying because I had Objective-C and Swift in there. It wasn't playing nice. And I was like panicking. And so the guy who I was talking to, he said, well, Alicia, would you let me see my code? I said, I would have to cut off your pinky toe. If you don't let nobody see my shit. So he said, no problem. I sent him the link. And so he actually came down, and he came to Atlanta, and he actually helped me fix my code in one day. And I was so worried about the fact that my code was so ugly. It wasn't clean. And I was like, I'm sorry. You know, it's not what I wanted you to look at. I'm embarrassed how my code looked. He said, Alicia, your code is better than any of the developers I'm working with right now. So I was all right with that. So after that was all done, he fixed everything. They had me go crazy places. They had me run up and down the street. But I'm going to show you what happened with it. I hope I have sound with this. I really do.
Hello, world. So this is the first computer that I coded on.
In the beginning, my biggest challenge was not having access to a computer.
The first line of code I wrote was a bouncing ball. It would bounce around the screen, hit the edges, and then come back again.
I think the first one was like a to-do list. It was a to-do list.
I remember the first time I did it when it worked, and it was like magical.
I can do anything with code. Anything I can think about, I can do it. In Beirut, we experience power outages every day. So let me see if I can just do a simple algorithm that can provide the electricity cutoff time.
It shouldn't cost life to give life. What if we compress all these health guidelines into small movies?
I am one person that saw a problem and created a solution to stop or assist a woman in domestic violence.
What we wanted, what we needed, didn't exist. So at some point, you just say, okay, well, let's do it ourselves.
Let's make an app.
Well, when I first start an app, I have to have a plan.
We start with that little glimmer, that seed of a new, fresh idea.
There's this fear of code, like it's so hard or it's inaccessible, but actually it's not.
Someone who doesn't even know code at all, if they really studied some simple Swift code, they would probably be able to understand it.
Anything's possible, and it all comes from that first step.
Launching the app was a big moment, actually.
I told everyone about it. I'm like, download my app, it's on the App Store.
I was dancing. I called all my girlfriends that I cried to.
It's such a crazy feeling because it's so many emotions, so many wishes, so many dreams.
I always tell my students, do you have Beirut electricity? My son made it. He built it. And the girls, is he single?
By the end of 2016, 1 million women will have a safe birth due to the Safe Delivery app.
If people come together in public spaces, it creates a kind of happiness and it creates a kind of like healing effect for the soul.
Don't touch my code! Dear Kira, young people like you are tomorrow's leaders. You inspire me and give me tremendous hope for the future. Michelle and I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Barack Obama.
These tools are something that we desperately need when trying to change the world.
I think the more people who can learn to code, learn to build apps, the more problems can be solved.
I feel like I'm creating stuff that can actually change the way people live, which is super awesome.
I want to be this amazing coder, this off-the-chain senior developer where everybody comes to me and it's like, can you fix this? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and I go in there, I'll just type up the code and blah, 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 damn, damn. And like, wow, you can do this, yay!
First Black woman to be highlighted in an Apple, how would you say, video. And the other girl, Kira, was also the youngest before there was a young, well, she's the youngest Black woman, young girl to be highlighted in Apple as well. And Kira has been doing apps. I mean, she does apps all the time. And I'm so proud of her because I'm told, I said, we need to get you to speak more as a young girl at conferences to explain to people like y'all out there that women, young girls are very, very passionate. And when you talk about code, I love code, you know. It's like I'm a dyslexic person with the code. But then let's get to the real part of being a woman developer. In tech, things have changed from stereotypical, hoodie wearing, nerve glasses wearing, gadget obsessed, over the latest hot gadgets. That's me. This is not only men. Today, there are women who are more into tech trends than men. But before I get into the facts, let's get into the history. So, before I ask the question, here is some historical data on coding hardware that is true. So, if you imagine computer programming as young men, yeah, that's true. That is very true. But it hasn't always been that way. Decades. Women pioneers are computer programmers, but that's a part of history that not everybody know about. So women created code and program because men felt that coding was an admin job. And that is true. And this is the thing that I think that me and Kim, we talked about this, and we talk about this a lot in our women community. Ada Lovelace. And I'm gonna just give you the names. Y'all gonna read off of this, and if y'all need to do research, this is where y'all need to do research. Because this is just a snap bit of what Ada Lovelace. Ada Lovelace is the woman who created it. She's the start of all of this. And women in who code and all of these other women organizations make sure that our women are aware of these issues. We're aware of the historical information of programming and coding came from. Then there's Jennifer Jenkins Bartek. She was hardware as well as software. And so just to see the fact that they had their hands on it. And a lot of these women didn't even, at that time, know of each other. Grace Harper. As women, we all know Grace Harper from Anita Borg Institute. So Grace Harper is the one that came up with debugging, because there was moth in the computers. So if you hear the word debugging, you have to remember that Grace Harper is the one that created that. And so then you talk about the human computers. Katherine Johnson is the first black woman for NASA. Everybody should know this. If you haven't seen Hidden Figures, and I've watched it 10 times, that's one of my favorite with the color purple. Two of those are my favorite. But I've continued to watch it, and each and every time I watch it, I cry, because I can relate to so many things that's in there that, as a woman, relates to me. So these are women that y'all need to do your research on. So when you go, and I'm going to say this, when you'll go back to work and when you'll start saying things, you can be the most knowledgeable ones. You know, the men. Oh, yeah, Grace Harper. She created the word debugging. And then the guys was like, that's not true. And you can say, do your research. So now you know. And so think about every time you write on a computer, play music files, or add up numbers with your iPhone calculator, you are using tools that might not exist without a woman in technology. So I'm going to ask this question. This is just when. Would you hire this person? And I want you to read that. So this person has touched the computer, an IBM punch card computer when she was in high school. Okay. MS-DOS, DBase. Got a first job as a database programmer. Worked on hardware. Learned HTML. Went to school to learn Oracle, C++. Learned Java. This person loved to code, loved technology. Would y'all have hired this person? How many people would hire this person? Raise your hand. So that's my resume. This is why you wouldn't hire me. And this is where unconscious bias set in. I have interviewed with some of the major companies in where I live at in Atlanta, some in California. But Apple acknowledged me as a developer. Apple acknowledged me and told me how good I was when they highlighted me twice. But yet, nobody will hire me because of those three biases. And more is that I love to code. I love technology. I do a talk on home automation. Okay, because my whole house is automated with technology using IFTTT, skills, all that shit. And that's because of my husband. But when I go for an interview and I tell them that I build an app, and there's men that has not built an app, and I build an app for a social cause, I still get the question of, what's the syntax? Do you know what a function, a loop, array? And I'm like, dude, I built this app. I haven't, coding a little bit because I'm pushing this app. I'm looking for jobs. But yet, because I don't know it, I don't get the job. So that app don't mean nothing. But if a male had the same skill set, but didn't build an app, they would get the job. And I'm more experienced than them. I have the product out there. I had somebody ask me about localization. But she mentioned that I put all the different languages in there. That shit wasn't easy. Okay. But I've done that, that was in 2015. How the hell am I going to remember that in 2016? So that becomes a challenge for me as being a developer. Now let's talk about the statistics. Only 16% of white women are computer programmers and software engineers. Only 5% of Asian women are in computer programming and software engineers. Only 5% of women of color. And that 5% is included with Hispanic women as well, with that 5%. And then less than 1% of women are mobile developers, and less than 1% of that is me. So there's not too many women my age are into technology, and that it's not that it's sad, but then I love I love technology. So you got I know some people out here that got moms and dads, that's probably my age, and don't know nothing about technology, but you got to teach them how to use the iPhone. So, and here's some questions that I really want everybody to ask themselves. Why are you not considering women ability when their resumes are on your desk? There's a lot of people that look at a women's resume and they question their abilities. I have one example is that I met a young lady in Seattle at a conference, and she's like, her and her boyfriend applied for the same job. She's smarter than him. She has more skills than him. They passed over her resume and interviewed him. And then he came to her and said, they're interviewing me. I need to learn this code. And she's like, hell no, I'm not teaching you this code. Here's the damn book I taught and learned from. Because she's mad. I would be mad too. I was like, why the hell? Oh, you think he that good? Okay, then you go ahead and prove to them that you're not good. And we see a lot of that, when I talk to a lot of women. Why aren't women and people of color and white men ask the same questions? Okay, that's another thing that's not, across the board. How do you know a person doesn't fit in your culture during an interview? Another thing is that women don't lie on their resumes. If we put our hands on it, and we won't, and if we don't know it fully, we'll not put it on our resume. Because the chances of us being questioned about it is going to be very highly happening. Period. If a man put it on it, it doesn't make a big deal. So that's the whole, that's an issue that we deal with. Why are women not being promoted? Okay, so I was at a conference, and this one guy said, oh, I love women to code, and I have women working for me. But the problem I have with women is they take off time to take care of their children. That's the wrong thing to tell me. Because right then I was like, you are talking to the wrong woman right now. Because I want to say, what the hell's wrong with you? We have women, one thing women is we are everything. We do everything. We do everything. Men, y'all don't do everything. We take care of our children. We take care of you. We take care of the house. Some of us take care of the bills. I'm going to tell you right now. So when I was working, I've been married 36 years. My husband don't know how to, oh, I love him to death. Please don't let him hear this video. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and cook his breakfast. I fix his lunch. And I make sure he's in the car with his green tea to go to work. While I was learning iOS, Objective-C, I got up 5 o'clock in the morning, did the same thing, learned how to code in 3 months, and still build that app. And a lot of men don't understand that that woman who pushed you off to work and help you get there also have the challenges when they go to work of being unconscious bias affecting her. And so you got to understand that when you see if you see that happening, just imagine that woman in your office going through the same thing. There's a lot, we're taught that men are the men of the household. They pay the bills, they take care of the wife, you take care of the children, you take care of the house. But then you got to understand that same man that she's working for have that same bias thinking. And so you have to really outthink, change it. Like right now, men are now being more active in the family, but that's not being hold against them when they have to go take their child to a doctor. Whereas a woman, that's being hold against them when they got to go take their child to a doctor. So we have to always think about that unconscious bias that we're putting. It's not that you're bad. We all have an unconscious bias. That's what our brain do. So I'm going to give you a perfect example. My unconscious bias is I hate to see men pants hanging off their ass. So one day I was driving home and I saw this man pants hanging down to underneath his ass. And I was like, and I'm slowing down saying, hey, pull your damn pants up. And so, I know he heard me, but he ignored me. And so the last quote, I got a quote in here where it said, again, not listening to women's ideas in meeting. I hear a lot of women going through that right now. And then, the understanding is that the more that you're make women feel uncomfortable, that is why the number of women in technology is going down. And we all, for me, it's like, that's another thing why you wouldn't hire me, because I would cuss your asses out. I would actually get fired. Actually, I got written up at a job for saying, that's fucked up. And they wrote me up. I'm like, why you wrote me up? I just said. So, this is the things that, because if a man was to say it, it would have been all right. But it's not so. In the South, those are one things in the South that are not supposed to come out of a woman's mouth. So if a man talks over you, he's being a man. He's a man if he talk over you. If a woman talks over you, she's a bossy bitch. And so, again, if a woman talk over you, that means she got children that get on her nerves. She has like, yo, y'all need to stop this. She will say that, and that's because either she got children or she got a sibling, or she knows how it is to be treated a certain kind of way and want to get her voice heard. Something to think about. How many women are working in your group? How many people of color are working in your group? Why would you hire an unqualified white male with potential, but not a woman or person of color who are qualified? And we see a lot of that too. We see there's several young women that graduated boot camp in Atlanta. Their resume were off the chain, and they were going against males. And two of the women, resumes were awesome. They had excellent projects. The actual team members of the boot camp was, because they have to rate everybody's resume, and they all gave them high ratings on their resume. When they went to the interview and they were competed against men, neither one of them got selected. One was Asian, one was Hispanic. And my girl, Adriana, it took her a year to actually find a job, but it's actually an internship. And the other young lady, she felt like, she felt bad about it, but then, we have certain people that made it clear that you don't let that go, you keep going, and you never give up. When a woman or a person of color report to upper management or HR, there is known to be some bias. So, and as a lot of people have seen that with Uber, with Facebook, with Apple, HR, and I've known that for experience too. HR will always take the side of the other person. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these positions come up as VP of diversity and inclusion with Google, with Apple, to be the medium between HR and management. So what can we do? Women can't change the problem in the tech community, but men, you can be the change. And I say that because I watched a tech talk, and it was about this one guy talked about how domestic violence can be the change, but it has to be men to do the changing. And it goes with all communities right now in the companies. For technology, we are huge. And I'm telling you right now, what technology is going to, we're changing the world right now. We're setting the standards. And as you can see, where media is holding tech responsible. And so I know for a fact, Walmart is having some issues. They ain't saying it. And I've seen articles about it. And there's other companies besides that are having issues. But guess what? Tech companies are being the one held responsible. So now we have to be the one making the change. And so I'm saying this. There's men, all of y'all out there, y'all work on a team. And y'all know that if you're all men or all women, by just putting one woman in the middle of that team, that changed the numbers to your company. And so that's where I'm trying to reach out to y'all to say, think about putting that woman of technology in there. Always think about unconscious bias. Always remember that we all have it. It's never going to change. But then just by thinking about just putting that one female, that one woman software engineer in the mix can totally change your perspectives. You got to also remember that y'all need us. We gave birth to y'all. We're your sisters, your mother, your wife, your daughter. And I know for a fact, I have met many of y'all men who said if one person was to hurt their daughter, y'all would go berserk. And so think about how you talk to women at your job, because y'all don't realize what you're saying. You really don't. There's things that it's cool. If it was me, I'll laugh it off and say, dude, you shouldn't say that, right? But it's that awareness that you have to think about what you're saying and what you're doing. And you need to be our advocate. You'll need to start, if you see something wrong, or you see something that you think is disrespectful, or you see how she look or how she feels about it, you don't need to say something, A lot of times you're around one of the guys, and around the guys, you'll think it's cool. But just remember, even if it's just all the guys, it's still not cool. You'll still say, you shouldn't say that, even though, it's funny, but you shouldn't say that anyway. So think about how you can help us, because we cannot do anything. We cannot change anything unless we have your support, Because women, we can fight, we can argue, we can march. And you see what happened when we had the march. Ain't shit happened. You're like, that's powerful. Okay, let's go back to work. So let's do that. Let's all work together. So if anything you need, if you're looking for women to come into your organization, reach out to Women of Code. Reach out to the community. There's plenty of women organizations out there that can help y'all put those women in there. And so I want to say, need for you to follow me in my adventures. I got a Tech Girl app. It's called Tech Girl. It's actually cool. It's an iMessaging app that women talk code. I don't have Django. I was working on that. But it's about all women of all colors, of all nationalities, talking code, Java, Python, everything. Because we don't have nobody representing us when it comes to talking about code. And also, you can follow me on Find Black Women. And I so thank DjangoCon. They're awesome. Give it to Django. They're awesome all over the world. Thank you, everyone.